In the next 48, why way? In the next 48, in the next 48, in the next 48. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we're talking about another warning from our government here in the U.S. of an imminent event. Again, we actually heard something kind of similar right before what happened in Vlad's country with the venue when things went down there. About a week or a week and a half before that, they actually put out a warning of a 48-hour warning to the embassy there. And they said, hey, U.S. citizens, be careful. Now the CIA is actually warning that Iran will attack Israel. Why this matters is this is a giant thing. This is kind of like one of those events that would start World War III. So again, this is really, really crazy. Before we get started, I do want to remind you guys we're completely independent. We're on our own. If you want to protect yourself against one of the most probable SHTF scenarios, actually two of the most probable, then go check out EMP Shield. This device can protect you against not only an EMP strike from any of our adversaries, including Iran, but you can also protect yourself against a solar event from our sun. A Carrington-level event will be grounded in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, generators, gas, or solar in the case of the Flex 1500 or Flex Tactical, and of course your home. So make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll get $50 off per device, aka per car or per house. So again, make sure to go check that out. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, you also had Peter Ducey ask a question today. Did the CIA warn Israel, or did President JB warn Netanyahu today about the Iranian plan to attack inside Israel within 48 hours? So, it actually kind of a dumber question. That was Fox's Peter Ducey. John Kirby responded with this. So let's watch this for a second here.
John, a follow-up on that first. Did the CIA warn Israel, or did President Biden warn Netanyahu today about an Iranian plan to attack inside Israel within 48 hours?
I'm not going to talk about intelligence matters, Peter. I think you can understand. But they did talk about a very public and very viable, real threat by Iran to Israel's security. And I think I need to leave it at that. It's really as far as I can go.
And again, that's as far as anybody went today. They essentially said it's a very real threat. It's a very real thing. There is, of course, theory after theory after theory. Of course, it says, I have an idea. Let's keep TikTok and ban Congress. You have, did JB pay them to do it? You have, of course, we're sleepwalking our way into World War III. Imagine how wonderful the world would be without the Z-mm-ms. TikTok, World War III, says Mike Blackfish. He says, there's not a word that comes out of this evil man's mouth that I would not, or that I would believe. And then, of course, so much more. In fact, there's some that I don't think I can read. In fact, there's some pretty crazy ones there, too. There's some less crazy ones as well. Some people believe that something may be, some puppeteered here very soon. And then, of course, the words are that the CIA has warned Israel that Iran will attack the country in the next 48 hours, it has been reported. Israel, of course, took out 2 Iranian military commanders with a strike on Tehran's consulate in the Syrian capital Damascus this week. Iran vowed that it would take revenge for the attack. Now, the reason why people are really concerned is because all of the threats also encase the U.S. and Israel's allies. So anybody that was essentially supporting them as well was included in that, and many folks underneath the Ayatollah have commented directly about the United States and how close they are and how much they have supported the folks in Israel. So this is a giant deal. Dex, as far as the Ayatollah and the person who has a say in all of this, I mean, he's not working with full deck either. This is the same guy that posts videos of taking out our former president.
Well, yeah, certainly. And I think what we have to understand here too is a lot of times in the past we have seen Iran not act immediately. In other words, they hang back and then they use the element of surprise when the obvious move is to respond immediately. Even like we did when we responded to the attacks on our ships and to the attacks on our troops when we lost lives over there. Within a few days, we responded. That was pretty swift. Not as swift as some would have liked, but it was still relatively swift compared to what we're seeing here. It is not uncommon for them to not respond right away, and a little time later, all of a sudden come out of the blue. Now, some might say that's just because they can't and they need to, regroup, or they need to build up funds or come up with strategic plans, etc. But nonetheless, I think either one of these scenarios could play out. They could really be in a position and ready, and they might very well strike. It's not, 100% certain. Just because our three-letter agency says it's so doesn't necessarily mean it's so. Even though they told us it was so in Russia, and it did turn out to sort of be that way. It wasn't within the timing. They came out with like a 24, 48-hour timing there, and it was like a couple weeks later. But still, nonetheless, anybody can tell you that Iran will retaliate, and they'll pretty much be 100% right, because they're going to. We just don't know when.
So, and one of the crazy parts about just the world we're living in right now is, I mean, if you look at 90% of the top comments here, it's essentially that people do not believe anything coming out of our gov's mouth. Specifically, if the CIA is saying it, they're saying, oh, so, I mean, this comment, perfect example. The CIA says there's going to be an attack, and it says, no, we didn't plan it. What kind of question is that? You act like you don't trust us. Somebody else says, so basically the CIA is going to attack blank. Do I have that right? And there's 50 different versions of this. You just keep going and going and going. So with this, it's like, look at the world we live in right now. Nobody trusts anybody, and nobody trusts mainstream media. Nobody trusts the FBI. Nobody trusts the three-letter agencies. I mean, obviously, they lie to us all the time, and they tell us they lie to us because it's all classified. It's for our own security, right? Well, some of these events that have happened in the past, they have announced it like this beforehand. They have said these things in the past, and then these do transpire. And in the future, we don't actually argue or debate if the event happens. 20, 30 years down the road, we find out who is really behind it. But the event happens. So that's what we're concerned about right now. I'm not going to be surprised when World War III goes hot. I've been saying it's going to go hot for a long time. World War III is not the end of the world. People confuse, in my opinion, World War III is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of the new one. It's where they are going to restructure everything. And lots of people will definitely not be around anymore. But it's not going to be the end of the world, nuke fest that everybody thinks it is. It's going to be drone versus drone, robot versus drone, robot versus robot, cyber attack versus cyber attack, infrastructure damage versus infrastructure damage. Dex, go ahead. You popped
Yeah,
in.
you're spot on. I mean, we have to look at this as what it means. At least for us here in the West, is what does it mean to our own safety? There are certainly opportunities for them to attack beyond just putting missiles into Israel. They have other ways that they can strike the U.S., they can strike the U.K., and it's not unfathomable to think that might happen. It's very likely. Even before this happened, we were worried about the people coming across the border. We were worried about the ties back through Venezuela to Hez and all of that. So it's still there, and if anything, it may be even amped up more. And we need to be aware of that and pay attention and think, what does that mean to our own local protection, and what do we do?
And they show videos of current Israel and how the beautiful sunset there, and right now it's probably, hopefully going to last there. So we'll see what happens. We'll update you the next 48 hours. I bet you that most likely it's not going to happen during this 48 hours. Just looking at the previous warnings, but within a week or two, I do think it will happen. If it does happen in the next 48 hours, that is no surprise either. We're at the 4th. Today is actually the planets aligning, isn't it? Yeah, this is when 5 planets are aligning, and this is announced. There's so many coincidences in the next week, it's not even funny. So if you want to get an update right when this happens, if something goes down, we will go live, and I will go live basically no matter what time it is. If I see this, I'm going to go live and update it. So make sure to subscribe and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification and hit all. If you want to follow every other event that's going on in the last 48 rather than the next 48, then make sure to click here, the replay. You will see that there's going to be an icon for our next live show over on our sister channel in just a few minutes. If you're in the chat already, just sit tight. We're going to port you over. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
As always, our full bibliography is over at marfooglenews.com.